few years back, local brewer Bell's Brewery released a series of beers. It's based on a musical composition by Gustav Holtz. My rules for this: first, I crack open the beer. Second rule, I start the song. And then I start the movie while I drink the rest of the beer.
Everybody got that?
I'm back for one last movie of the evening, though I have 2 beers left. So kinda gonna cheat these. The next beer in the series is it's Uranus, sometimes called Uranus, but it's Uranus. I've had some people already asking what this one tastes like. Uranus is the magician, and I've actually already got the music playing because I'm gonna kind of cheat this one and also do the other beer, since I don't have a specific movie for that one, and it is already 11:30 at night, and I have been drinking since noon. So I'm just gonna do these back to back, watch this last movie, and then probably go to bed. Uranus is a black double IPA. It is 9.5%, so that's not bad. Again, this is the accompanying music. We're gonna have that going for a bit. And go ahead and crack this one open. Now, I do like IPAs in general. I do remember liking this one, so we're gonna give it a try. It is very dark, as you would expect a black IPA to be. Can't really see through it at all. That's actually really good. It's got some nice hoppy flavor to it, which is what I do enjoy. I like the hop more than the malt. So I think some of those other ones I tried earlier, I might not order those as much on my own. This one I would probably order 1 or 2 of in a night. Well, that song finishes, and before I start the next one, the movie that went with Uranus, Spaceballs. Mel Brooks classic. Another Rick Moranis movie, which, again, hilarious. The whole cast is hilarious on this one. Should be a fun watch. Should be a good way to end the evening. Neptune the Mystic, which is the last beer in the series. You can see this one has quite the description on the front. Ale brewed with black pepper, hickory bark, dandelion root, spices, molasses, and maple syrup, with cayenne peppers, star anise, raisins, and dates added. And this one is 9%. 2 fairly high percent beers back to back before I go to bed. Sounds like a good idea. Neptune the Mystic, it's playing. I don't know if you can really hear it. It's one of the quieter ones. Again, this one is Uranus that I'm sipping on right now. I do not feel good saying that in any way, shape, or form. It sounds like the whole song is pretty quiet all the way through. It is Neptune the Mystic, so it is very mysterious. It's got a lot of that ooh-y vibe to it. So I think that's kind of the end of the song there. I'm gonna go ahead and start the movie, Spaceballs. It has been a very long day. This is pretty much all I've done all day. I should maybe one more time give the disclaimer of don't drink and drive, drink responsibly. I specifically chose today to do this because I had nowhere I needed to be today. So I could enjoy 7 beers in a row without worrying about having to go anywhere or do anything. In a galaxy very, 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 very far away. Chapter 11. They never did make a sequel to this. They often talked about it. I kind of wonder if they would have gone with Chapter 12, if they would have gone the prequel route and said Chapter 1 through 10. I wonder how they would have played that off. I don't know. Considering 2 of the main cast are dead. And again, Rick Moranis, as I mentioned in the Little Shop of Horrors episode, left acting. He's kind of just starting to get back into it a little bit, but he is super selective of his roles, which he has every right to be. So I don't know. I don't know if they could get him back to do another one of these if they tried to do it now. He is one of the best parts of this movie. You know, I guess now with the new sequels that are out and with Kylo Ren, they could do something akin to those lines. Like have some little whiny Kylo Ren type brat and have Rick Moranis just come in and slap him and then walk back out. Again, from what I understand, he's picky on the roles that he's taking nowadays, and if anyone has the right to be, it's it. One thing that this movie, a lot of the Mel Brooks movies have that not a lot of even comedy movies have anymore is the physical comedy. I could be wrong. If you know of a recent comedy movie that came out that has that kind of physical comedy in it, let me know. I might want to check that out. You do see every now and then Spaceballs cosplay at convention. Every now and then you'll see a dark helmet, but more often than not you'll see people just generally as assholes with the big round helmet. I guess it's a fairly easy costume in theory, but also very recognizable.
We're approaching Planet Druid.
That's kind of what I do like about Mel Brooks movies, is that they're kind of, the humor is fairly stupid, but there's a lot of thought behind it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've been drinking, so things I say may or may not make sense. Like, you have the surface level joke, which is usually kind of stupid, but when you really stop and think about it, there's more behind it. You also usually have the complete buy-in of the cast in every Mel Brooks movie. They're delivering the lines totally unironically, which makes the fact that they're saying something completely stupid even funnier.
Wait! You forgot to get married! Stop! What are you doing? No,
So I mentioned two of the main casts having passed on. One is Joan Rivers, who did the voice of Dot Matrix here. I don't believe she was in the costume. I don't see why they would have to have her in the costume. I suppose you could have an impersonator or someone else who sounds like her, which would be an impersonator, or I guess you could have a completely different person, and I mean, she is a robot, so you could say had a voice upgrade or something. And here's the other cast member who unfortunately has passed on, John Candy. He's mentioned earlier in the Little Shop of Horrors episode because he's great in his brief cameo in that. Great in this. Again, it's one of those things where you kind of have to wonder what the career trajectory would have been if he had survived, if he had not died when he did. I've seen Barf cosplay at conventions also. A lot of people do that and do a fairly good job at it. I do like the robot guy, the fact that it's pretty much a complete makeup job, but he looks angular, he looks like a robot. And of course, Pizza the Hut. I love that you can see the guy's real jaw and lips inside the mouth. And of course, we have the obligatory Mel Brooks character. I do like the transporter gag. It's a pretty easy, not the transporter effect itself, but the when he comes out with his head on backwards. It's a pretty easy effect. Basically, it's just wearing a suit backwards. I always thought that would make an interesting cosplay. You may need a couple other people around, like a couple people dressed as assholes, or maybe the transporter technician guy, just to kind of sell it so that people understand exactly what you are. But yeah, President Scroob with his head on backwards after the transporter accident. I always thought that would be kind of a funny cosplay. And then of course the joke that they tried to beam him from his office to the bridge when all he really had to do was walk out the door and he was there anyway.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? I'm surrounded by assholes.
See, and this is how you do parody. I mean, this is great Star Trek parody. It's obvious, not Star Trek. Well, there's a little bit of Star Trek there too. Obviously, the transporter. Star Wars parody. They're doing great parody without necessarily doing what like a lot of the not another movie things did, where basically they just reenact a scene from a movie and call that parody. It's like if we take 5 different scenes from 5 different movies and then act them out exactly as they happened within those movies, but mixed in with these other movie scenes, then that's a parody, right? No, it's not. This is true parody. It's obvious what the source material is, and yet it's its own story. It kind of stands on its own. You could show this to someone who's never seen Star Wars, and they can understand it and they can appreciate it for it being its own thing. Those not another movies, most of them require you to have knowledge of, oh, that is a reference to this movie. That is a reference to this other movie. Mainly because it's not a reference so much as it's an exact scene from those other movies. Whereas this, if you're familiar with Star Wars, if you're familiar with Star Trek, you can see the influences, but it's its own thing. You don't have to know those things to understand the humor in this movie. And I think that's what sets this apart from later parody movies. So I'm almost done with Uranus. Again, not something I typically say, but once I finish Uranus, I'm going to pour the Neptune and start drinking that. Oh, we got a great cameo here from Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies, doing his sound effects bit. I know he came to one of the local bars a handful of years ago and did stand up. So that was the end of Uranus. Yeah. And I am going to now open the Neptune, the Mystic, and pour that with.
Hold it. She's not in there.
It has got a lot of stuff in it. It has a 9%, and it is a fairly dark beer. I cannot see through it. Smells good. Has a great aroma to it. And ooh, yeah, that's got a good flavor. It's a little coffee. I don't drink coffee in general. I just don't like it. And I don't drink a lot of coffee flavored beers. A lot of porters and stouts are coffee based, and I don't often order those. This has got a little bit of a coffee flavor to it to me. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in it. This has got the longest description on the label of any of them. I read it earlier. It's got a lot of stuff in it. Black pepper, cayenne peppers, raisins and dates, hickory bark, dandelion root. But the main thing I'm getting kind of a coffee-ish flavor off of it. I don't hate it. I can drink it, obviously. I'm going to. Probably not something I would want a lot of. That's the physical comedy I'm talking about. What they're doing where it looks like he's holding on and, you know, going really fast, so he's being blown back, but then they do the emergency stop and he goes forward into the console. That could have been a stunt double. Probably was. You don't see his face during it, so it's probably some sort of double. Still, it's funny. It's the physical comedy I was talking about earlier. And then the falling flat on his face. That was obviously him, not a double. Yeah, the more I drink of the Neptune, the more I'm getting more black pepper now. This is definitely not my favorite of the bunch. So it's odd to end on this one.
Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened then?
It's very Albert and Costello, the bit they're doing right now, where they're, when is now, later, then, now.
I have to marry a prince.
Bill Pullman in this movie is very good. Lone Star. He's been in several great movies. A lot of people confuse him with Bill Paxton, who was in Aliens, who unfortunately has passed away. Bill Pullman is still alive. I believe I have that right.
I know now that I must learn to live.
I may be confusing the two.
Besides, love isn't that important.
I don't see them, Sanders. That's half the troops
I like Desert Dark Helmet with the oversized pith helmet.
Let's go. Yes, sir.
And then we get the second Mel Brooks role of Yogurt. So we have the scene of Mel Brooks as Yogurt, the Yoda stand-in. Again, obviously this movie was made after the entire trilogy was out, so they're able to pull references from the full Star Wars trilogy. And of course, merchandising being a big joke. The thing is, with Star Wars, George Lucas was smart enough that when he signed the contract for Star Wars to be released, he held on to the merchandising rights. And that has probably made him more money than the movies in general over the years. So, of course, they're making a merchandising joke. You know, for a parody movie, the effects in this are actually not too bad. They obviously spent a little bit of money on making sure the effects look good. Oh, the dolls.
No, you are mine. Not so fast, Helmet. Lone Star.
Playing with the dolls. Darth Helmet.
My girlfriend. Hi, honey. No, same thing.
Again, considering kind of part of the joke of this movie was merchandising, it's kind of interesting they didn't make some sort of, or they aren't currently making some sort of action figures for it. Seems like it would be right up Funko's line. If Funko made a Darth Helmet figure, I would buy that. Especially if they could find a way to make it so that, like, the face part is there, but then you could push it up and then it's a Rick Moranis Funko face underneath. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if they can do that.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's why you need a strong password, people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not a strong password.
Ah, what a pity. What a pity. So, Princess, you thought you
The stunt doubles joke.
You idiots! These are not them.
I don't know why the Princess Vespa stunt double has a Hitler mustache, but
Find them! Find them! What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button. This ship will self-destruct in exactly 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
You've got to stop it. Is there any way to stop it? I can't. It's irreversible. Like my raincoat. Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down searches. Evacuate the scene.
so that's it for the Neptune. And that is the last beer in the Planetary series. So we got a little bit of the movie left to go. Gonna keep watching it here. It is almost to the end though. So there are a couple jokes right at the end here that are a little bit more pointed to what they are referring to in the diner scene here, where obviously it's an alien joke. The fact that it is actually John Hurt in the scene, and he is the one from the movie Alien who does have the first scene with the chest burster. Even if you don't know that it's John Hurt from that movie, from that scene, if you know of that scene, you may get it. And of course, he goes into the Michigan J Frog routine.
Check, please.
Check, please, of course, being a joke that at that time was maybe cliche, but not as cliche as it would be today. And of course, there's the joke, I heart Uranus, which is why Uranus was paired up with this movie. And that is Spaceballs, the last film in our tour of the solar system. I have now finished all 7 beers, and I'm kind of drunk at the moment. As I've said several times during this series, drink responsibly, don't drink and drive. I chose today based on the fact that I had nowhere to be and I could drink 7 fairly high volume beers and not need to worry about going anywhere. I am going to bed now. I know I have edited these videos and released them one at a time, so you've been watching them across several days, probably, if not weeks, but I have done all 7 of these in one day, and the last few were fairly high volume, so I am feeling pretty good at the moment, but I am going to bed as I have been drinking since noon today, and it is now just after 1 o'clock. So I hope you enjoyed this series. Like I said, there are more that I have considered doing. There are more that I've considered having friends join me for. So we will see how this goes, and maybe we'll do those. Let's get these out and see how well they're received. Have a good night. I will talk to you later. Bye.